going on, y'all? Welcome back to the chaos. I'm Ryan, and this is Paul. We're actually over here in the Dolla Sign Garage. That's what Paul has dubbed his new garage over here, and we're actually doing some garage upgrades. So, and Paul's got a big one, so this is gonna take this garage from like your run-of-the-mill, standard. Hey, it's a garage. You store stuff, put a car in there, but he's jumping it up to the next level. So, tell him what you got today, Paul.
Got myself a 4-post lift.
Jealous. And you went with which variety? Because you did a lot of research and everything and landed on what style and what brand, all that kind of stuff. Give them the nerd rundown.
Yeah, so I went with a Wildfire brand lift, and it's basically their standard 4-post. After measuring everything, it'll fit. I've got a 10-foot ceiling, like 10 foot 1 inch or whatever. So I've got enough height to go ahead and lift the Mustang and store something low and exotic underneath it one day.
Ferrari. One day.
Yeah, but I mean, it's I believe it's a 9,000 pound rated, which I know if lifts 9,000 is like, the top end and things start slowing down, but it's plenty enough for what I'm gonna do. Allows me to get underneath there and do some servicing. I'll be able to put like bottle jacks underneath it to get the wheels up so I can, do wheel off work or whatever too. But yeah, basically something I wanted forever to go ahead and make working on the car easier so I'm not lying on my back all the time. And
ain't that the truth? We ain't getting any younger, that's for sure. No. So being on your back on jack stands is doable. Been there, done that. But yeah, this is every car guy's dream. So Paul's checking that off of his bucket list already. So yeah, he's got one up on me. This garage is gonna be sick when finished. But yeah, we're gonna take you all through the process today. And as of right now, it's just the two of us. We've kind of read through the instructions. Obviously looked at a YouTube video. It's easy, right? Potentially one person could do it. But yeah, between the two of us, I think we can figure it out. So let's go ahead and jump in the box, see what all he's got, and then let's get building. Kind of got everything unboxed as best as possible. So Paul's still back here unwrapping bubble wrap. We'll probably be doing that for days, but so much. But yeah, we got to the point where everything is getting unboxed, and then we'll actually be able to start setting things up to see kind of the footprint of it and everything. So it's the 4-post style. So we're gonna set those 4 posts in basically the position that it's gonna belong. And then that's your kind of starting point. So once we get everything officially unbubble wrapped, then we're gonna start with the layout, the footprint, those 4 posts, get those set up. Well, we've recruited 3 more folks. So apparently they didn't have the trust that Paul and I could do it by ourselves, but the more hands, the better. So we've actually got a nice setup here with the floor cleared out. Just kind of pushed the big ramp sections that you actually pull up onto out of the way, and then you're gonna start with laying out your 4 posts for those footprints. So we'll start there and wish us luck. We've never done this before. We did some things. So right now we have we're measuring out the footprint of it, but we have our goalpost. That's kind of what it looks like at the moment, but we have those in place. So orientation wise, they're marked right and left, and it's depending on the orientation you look at it, because if you match up right to right and left to left on the ground, it doesn't work. So just a little tip to keep in mind if you're doing this yourself, but definitely having multiple hands has come in handy. So not that 2 people couldn't have done it, but what do we got? 5 makes it way better. We kind of measured out roughly about where the post should actually sit to when you put a car on it. So I'll kind of show you what we got at the moment, but now is the part we're kind of figuring out exactly how to lock everything down, where the hydraulic pump, ultimately he kind of wants it in the back corner. So like if you were pulling a car on dead on, it would be on the driver's side front. So the very back corner of his garage over here is where he wants to plug it all in and everything. And I was actually surprised this unit doesn't require, like, I think it's a 220 or 240 volt plug. It just plugs into your standard outlet, which is a huge plus for a lot of people. So let's figure out how to get all the lines on and then our ramps on. And we're kind of going from there, but trying to figure out as we go. We got one side down. So once you actually get the ramp actually in place, then everything kind of lines up perfectly. So there's notches that where the bolts actually go through. So everything, I mean, it's just like a puzzle. So get all the pieces lined up and you're good to go. But we'll show you exactly what it looks like so far, but we're halfway there. Just not lift off yet. So that's the next part, is to power everything up, but it looks the part. So we did a good job. Once, like I said, everything kind of lined up and went in pretty smoothly. So actually unboxing is harder than install. Due to the orientation of the way that we set up the lift and where he wants his pump mounted, I think we actually kind of did it backwards. So instead of having to like lift and shift and spin this really, really heavy thing, that's not doable. So we're actually like flipping these little like pulleys to the correct positioning to therefore match where he wants his pump. So normally this is a step you shouldn't have to do, but obviously this is our first time doing it, so you kind of live and learn. But the hardware and everything is easy enough to swap over, so that's what we're working on right now. This system of eyelets is the problem. Those need to be in the back corner where he wants the motor mounted. We have all the pulleys in place, so next step is to actually attach the motor to make the whole pulley system work with the hydraulic pump. So we're gonna mount, like I said, Paul wanted it in the back corner, so that's where we're gonna be setting it up. We're definitely nearing the finish line now, so the only thing that should be left is getting the motor mounted, and then we can actually try and make sure everything actuates like it should, goes up and down. Then we can throw a car up here and really give it the test. I think we're doing good. So we've only made a few mistakes. So there's actually like a car stop at the front of the ramps, and then where like the actual ramps that attach where you kind of, the lead up, those have plates that require, they kind of like hook into the, like the railing itself on the lift. And we put those kind of on backwards. So we had to take like the big nuts off to then flip the tray around to get it oriented correctly. So I'll show you exactly what I mean. But other than that, I think we're in good shape. So we're just finishing up putting the motor on there, and then we can see if this bad boy goes up and down. So there's these big plates that act as your car stop, so that way you don't get too carried away and fly off the end. So the way we had this originally positioned, there's this metal bar with the big screws. You want to leave a little space in between, so that way your car stop slides right there in that nice groove. So that way if you pull too far, hopefully this will make enough racket to catch you so that way you'll stop. But make sure they have that gap. Before we had this whole bar oriented the opposite way. Moment of truth, and Paul says this whole system kind of purges itself. So it's full of the hydraulic fluid. So we're ready to plug it in and give it a test. We have liftoff. We got actuation, so we go up, we go down. There is a little snag. So it was first the pulley that was getting hung, and then now we're gonna there's a few fine adjustments we need to make. So we're just adjusting the locks, that way they don't get caught. So like the front side, closest to where like the motor is, where Paul's standing, those clear, no problem. But there's some adjustability that needs to be made on this back end. There's two locking mechanisms, the main one, and then when Paul pulls the safety switch up there, it pulls this back. And this isn't releasing far enough, so there should be a decent gap, and it's not doing that. So we just need to adjust the eye holes. Now you can see with the two safety latches disengaged, how far they kind of pull away from the pole, so that way it releases the tension and the system can go down. So we were kind of had clearance issues prior, so we got that adjusted. Now we're good to go. Moment of truth. How you feeling?
A little apprehensive, but you know.
Because this is the real test. It does. It looks the part. So now we're going to see if it actually acts the part. Got to get a car on there.
Yeah, yeah.
Bullets the test dummy?
Bullets the test dummy. I'm the dummy. That's the test.
Paul officially has him a lift in his garage, so man, I think it looks baller. It functions perfect. So I think we were kind of measuring out just to see, like, because ideally you would like to be able to stack the car, so Mustang on top, Mustang on bottom. And if he flips them, so backs the bullet in, he should have enough clearance to then pull the other original OG Dark Horse underneath this one. But man, that's gonna be awesome. Easy to work on. Lots of projects going down over here. Paul's putting the finishing touches on. They got these covers. We left these covers off to the very end, just so that way we can see the actuation behind here and make sure nothing was pinching, nothing was tight, that kind of thing. So, but now that we know it works, cover all those pulleys and everything up and be looking good. Paul also opted for, he's got 4 casters, so that way he can actually, like, when you can do it probably with the car on there, but recommended not have a car on there as you're kind of moving around. But you can hook these caster wheels up to it, and that way you can actually slide the lift around, so it's not actually like hard bolted into the floor. He can kind of move it and position it the way he wants. Take 2. So we've got the bullet backed in now, so we'll get a true test of like how much clearance to make sure, because ideally, like I said, he wants to be able to pull a car under a car. So this should allow that. Well, Paul, we have it officially installed, and clearly you've got a car stacked on another car, so it hasn't fallen down yet. So I think we did a good job.
I'm happy with it.
Very happy. And it took us, what, about 5 hours or
About
so?
5 hours, and you know what? We had a lunch break in between there too. So
True. And I mean, like, yeah, I think we kind of maybe had overkill as far as like, because we ended up having 5 people help, but it was kind of, you know, the more the merrier kind of thing. It made it go a lot faster, but I still think even with 2 people, you can knock it out in, if you know what you're doing, probably 4 hours. Like if it was a professional, they probably can do it in like 3. But I mean, for our first time, we only made a couple mistakes.
yeah,
As far as, yeah, like we kind of, the only things we would like to point out, you know, if you are doing this in the future, and is we put the, like the ramp connectors on backwards. So I think we pointed that out in the video.
right.
And then the only
had
little
the-
hang up we had was the,
The locking mechanisms being backwards,
yep.
which
yep.
meant we had to remove them, swap them, and then adjust them afterwards, which added some time.
Yeah, but have we kind of like, I mean, it's everything, you know, when you look back, like hindsight's always 2020, but, you know, seeing it come to the end, like that's when we realized, oh, had we just flipped everything around, we wouldn't have had to do the adjustment like that. But
Yeah.
you live and learn. So I think for the first time doing this, I would 100% call it a success. And I would definitely say it's easily worth the money saved to do it yourself. Because I can't remember what you said they were going to charge to install it, but
1,500 to $2,000.
yeah. And I mean, again, a little patience and, you know, just make sure you read the instructions once, twice,
Maybe a third time.
maybe a third time. But I mean, yeah, we knocked it out. And I mean, 1, it looks awesome, but then 2, it's going to be functional. So Paul's going to be out here busy. That's why I need to start charging to do oil change for the neighborhood. Because I mean, like, it's so easy to access everything at this point. So, and then having the 2 cars stacked, he went from a, well, kind of like a 1.5 car garage. You might could fit like 2 minis in here or something, to he's doubled his storage space and usability of the garage itself too. So
Yep.
yeah, scale of 1 to 10, how happy?
Oh, 11.
I love it. Yeah, and I'm over here. I got FOMO. Man, this looks awesome. So he's got my wheels turning because I got too many cars, not enough storage space. Like, well, you kind of had the same problem.
Fix that.
Yeah, I could fix that. Because he ended up with the same problem. Like your OG Dark Horse isn't even on site. Like it's in stepdaughter's garage. So, yep, I have the same issue. So this will solve it. But if y'all have any questions, put them down below. We'll do our best to answer. But I really appreciate everybody watching. If you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. We'll catch y'all on the next one.